and welcome to this edition of Censor This Conservative Podcast. So, today we're going to talk about two amazing parents that stood up for what is right at their kids' school board meetings. We're going to also discuss Kyle Rittenhouse and his starting a media accountability, Trump's launch of his new TruthSocial, and some more headlines. So first, we'll kick it off with two amazing parents that stood up for their kids at their school board meetings, and we got it on video. So the first one is an anti-CRT parent, and he is dead right. Kids don't see color. This anti-whiteness, this anti-white CRT, is only furthering the division in this country, and it needs to be stopped. Let me roll that.
It's happening, and as a parent, I speak to other parents. There's a few things that we don't want. I'm biracial, I'm bilingual, I'm multicultural. The fact is, in America, in North Carolina, I can do anything I want, and I teach that to my children. And the person who tells my little pecan-colored kids that they're somehow oppressed based on the color of their skin would be absolutely wrong and absolutely at war with me. And I think that's the same for every parent. What the mask showed us is that the parents, the most powerful group of people in our country, that they're taking back the wheel. Now, obviously, we had to take the wheel back for the mask, but we're taking the wheel back from Washington all the way to Raleigh and into our local school board. Because CRT, all of that, the parents don't want it. It's a big fat lie. There's not one if you believe in CRT, I want to tell you you're a liar, because that means you look at your black neighbor and say that they're oppressed, and you look at your white neighbor and say that they're evil, regardless of the experience that you've had with them. And we're not going to do that. The parents in the United States of America, right here in North Carolina and Cabarrus County, we know that's not true because we believe the lives we live. The fact is, I've been a business owner right here in North Carolina, and I deal with white people, black people, Hispanic people. My children deal with everybody. And the racism is only happening at the government level and on the media. The fact is, you have racists, and you can't even find them hardly. You just hear the stories about them. But this is what we're dealing with. The parents are taking the wheel. I have an 8-year-old daughter who is absolutely dynamic, who can do anything. Athletically, intellectually, spiritually, and emotionally, she is a dynamo. And I don't want a man swimming against her in the pool. The fact is, I don't want her playing against boys in soccer. I don't even let my sons rough her up. Do you think I'm going to let your son rough her up? This is what we're talking about. Policy going back to the parents. Because if you think people who love America are willing to fight for it, you haven't met parents yet. Because I'm telling you, parents will go further down any street than any.
And then the second lady we're gonna play for you is the lady goes to her school board meeting and gets into a fight about masks. Gotta love it. Spit Rags is the new domestic terrorist group. But these people would be classified as domestic terrorists for standing up for their kids. But anyway, this lady points out the hypocrisy in one of the school district members, goes after her personally, which I think is great because let's be real, these hypocrites, they enforce policies on you and I, but they don't follow them themselves. I mean, they made that ever so clear at the Super Bowl. Rules for me and you to follow, but not rules for them. And the school board is the same way. They think they're above their own rules. So she points out the hypocrisy in this woman, and that's when things turn heated and the school board member walks off. That is great. We need to make our public officials that uncomfortable to the point where they walk out. And this woman should resign. Just like 90% of the politicians in this country should resign.
Office, but yet you don't want to follow his orders. Why is that? Why is it different from the last year when we were here to this year? 2 different governors, 2 different political parties. So we were supposed to follow it last year, but not this year. That makes no sense, and it makes all of you a bunch of hypocrites, except for Dana and Jamie. Ms. Cass, you also yelled at me the last time I was here for taking off my mask, but here's a picture of you right here on Facebook with a crowd of people.
That's it.
With no mask on. This is my
Excuse me?
time, and I don't
No.
interrupt you. Here's another picture
No.
with you with a no mask on.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vaught, you are done. If you are going to sit there and disparage a member of our school board, then you can sit down. If you have something effective to say,
I have facts and truth on my side.
I am not going to sit here.
This isn't about you anymore. It's about
Can we have a police officer, please?
Really?
Yes.
Scared because of
No, I'm not scared. I don't care. I would like you to either talk about something, you can talk about something that concerns our school board.
Where's my team?
Is there something about our students you would like to talk about? Then talk about our students.
You're taking up my time.
Can you please ask Ms. Vaught to leave? Thank you.
What, for speaking
Okay.
the truth?
Ms. Vaughn, let's let the rest of us talk.
Can I finish?
No.
So you are.
If you would like to finish about students, but if your idea is to stand there,
It's not about you
Huh?
anymore. Now
She
it's
should be
about
able to
Dr.
say
Meyer.
her
I'd like to
piece.
call him
I've
out.
had to listen to people come and criticize me.
people came here and
Last year.
criticized you last year.
Absolutely. And I couldn't do anything about it. And
Exactly.
As well as
publicly,
me.
I was
So
humiliated.
people came here and they talked about your mask to your face. They showed pictures of your family. They showed pictures of your.
Yeah, they
I
did
didn't put those
worse.
pictures there. You did.
That doesn't make it right. Huh?
No, it
That
doesn't.
doesn't make it right, Jamie.
You're right, but I had to sit.
Those are that's my family. That is all. Then fine.
What do you think about our family?
I am not.
Our family is being suffocated to death
I'm
by your
done.
policies.
Time is up.
What do you
She
think
leaves
about
or
our
I
family?
leave.
Time is up. Time is up.
I'm done.
You can't deal with the truth. You don't need to be
No.
a school board
It's
member.
not, it's not the
We're coming
truth,
for your
but that's not the issue.
seats. We're coming for your seats. We're coming for them, all of them. Except for Dana and Jamie.
And now to the second topic. Kyle Rittenhouse will be starting a media accountability project to help stop the media falsely destroying reputations. The media has been doing this, falsely destroying reputations or canceling people for years. And it's time that they be held accountable. It's time that they be held accountable for their constant lying. They did it with Trump. They did it with Kyle Rittenhouse. They did it with Nick Sandmann, Covington Catholic kid. And they do it with basically every conservative. They're not coming after you for what you did in the particular issue. They're coming after you because you were a conservative and because you were a Trump supporter. That is the sole reason. And it's time we hold these people accountable. And so this is the announcement that Kyle Rittenhouse put on his social media. Let me roll that.
The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. That's power.
That white supremacist 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist. Kyle Rittenhouse, a militiaman wannabe.
President Joe Biden, who used a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse as a white supremacist.
Is absolutely white supremacy.
You're innocent, but do you feel vindicated?
I feel like justice was served. There's going to be some accountability coming.
White supremacist trials. You've got Rittenhouse.
Hate, disrespect, and intolerance.
Point of fact, the only bigot on the scene appears to have been Joseph Rosenbaum, the child rapist. And yet it's Kyle Rittenhouse who Joe Biden accused of being a white supremacist on the basis of no evidence whatsoever. And let's hope at some point he gets sued for that.
Who will be held accountable?
You are the enemy of the people.
Trump's TruthSocial. By the way, I will be getting a TruthSocial account as soon as I'm able to. I'm just kind of waiting until, like, all the publicity around it. And you're currently on a waiting list, so you sign up, give them your information, and then they put you on a waiting list. That's how many people signed up for this social media platform. You have to be on a waiting list to join a social media network. Never heard of that before. Anyway, his TruthSocial was so popular that it quickly rose to number 1 on the Apple App Store downloads. I think that right there should tell you that this country has had enough of our rights being taken away, enough of our freedoms being taken and stripped away from us. We want to be free, and we want to live as Americans, and this disaster of a president that we currently have in office, Americans don't like him. Let's just put it that way. Even Democrats don't like him. And now, NBC's tanking Olympic coverage. Lauren Boebert put out this tweet. Let me read it. NBC primetime coverage of the Beijing Olympics was a complete flop. Last week, on Monday, they received 7.87 million views. Tuesday, they received 8.70 million views. Wednesday, they received 6.93 million views. To put things in perspective, the average Joe Rogan podcast has 11 million views. Now, perfect example, again, of people being tired of the bullshit. Americans don't want to sit and watch Olympics where the more ratings, the more money is generated, the more money ends up going back to the Chinese Communist Party. And that is why I'm not watching. I'm not watching because I'm not supporting a country that kills Muslims, Uyghurs. 1. 2, that oppresses their own people and treats their own people terribly. 3, a country that arguably could be blamed for this entire COVID-19 pandemic, whether they intentionally or accidentally released it. But if anything, they covered it up for months. So at the bare minimum, they're responsible for that. So I have not watched any Olympics, and I will not. And a lot of other Americans have taken that stance. Even, I saw a video last week of a reporter being drugged off live broadcast, and he probably was arrested, I don't know, but they shut the camera off, knocked the camera down, and drug him off. So stuff like that isn't here in the U.S. yet. And my hope is that it never gets that bad. But I will be posting a video either later this week or next week. Basically, my thoughts on everything that's going on right now. My beliefs on all the issues. My predictions for the future. And my vision of what I personally would want to see this country. Anyway, now to the next thing. NASCAR fans. Wonderful NASCAR fans. Yes, these are the guys that started the F Joe Biden movement and Let's Go Brandon movement. They put FJB and Let's Go Brandon on the start-finish line at Daytona, continuing the anti-Biden trend. In fact, this was caught by a Fox affiliate down in Florida at the racetrack where they interviewed 2 people. Let me play that clip.
How are you this morning? I'm doing good. What are you going to sign on that finish line? What do you think I'm going to sign? I'm going to sign fuck Joe Biden. That's the risk we have here when we broadcast live from the track.
I am dead.
Here. I love the American flag shirt. What are you going to sign on the checkered line? I just did. Would you like to see what I wrote? Well, just tell me. Is it clean? It's not clean.
Fuck Joe Biden.
As tension in Canada rises with the Freedom Convoy, I think what they is great. They're being a pain in their government's ass, which is basically what you need to do. Dictator Trudeau, of course, is now seizing people's bank accounts, stealing people's gas, and doing other horrendous things. But what do you expect from a dictator? And the U.S. government, I have a feeling, would do the exact same thing, given that scenario. The government is no longer our friend. The government no longer works for us. The government in this country is a bunch of criminal dirtbags. They're pedophiles. They murder people that they don't like. Phil Haney, Epstein. They were okay with crime. And they kill their babies. But that's for the next video. I'm kind of foreshadowing the next video. But anyway, the trucker convoy. So it is starting in the U.S. There is groups from California and out west coming east to D.C. There's also a whole route, which I'll put up now, from the northeast. And there is another route coming from the southeast. I'll also put up both of those maps for you guys if you're listening to this video and would like to join. Those are the routes. But here's the thing. We're in the middle of a supply chain crisis in this country. And this is only going to exacerbate it. If you have a bunch of trucks sitting in D.C., like we had up in Canada, that's only going to further exacerbate our current supply chain issue. And my fear is that this is going to play right into the globalists, right into the government, right into the elites' hands, because at the end of the day, they want to centralize government control over everything. And so this is just going to play right into their hand for government to intervene in the transportation of goods industry, and then the government can control that. That is my fear from this, but we do need to do something. We cannot just sit and let our country continue to go into this path toward communism, socialism, Marxism, technocracy, a surveillance state. I could go on and on, but again, I'm foreshadowing to my next episode here. And now to the last topic is Cpac, Conservative Political Action Committee, are now reaching out and inviting people that are Democrat. I mean, we got Tulsi Gabbard, and let me be clear, I love that woman, but I believe personally, she's tough, she's going after the right people. I kind of believe she's a little bit, I mean, she's a Democrat, I don't trust her, but I think she's deep state. I think she's controlled opposition, honestly. So why are we letting this woman come to a conservative conference? And then you got Mr. Rhino, Dr. Oz, that they also invited. So now we got a Democrat and a Rhino coming to a conservative political conference. Why? What? This is a conservative conference. It's right in the name. And we're inviting those kind of people. I mean, Dr. Oz, pro-choice, pro-BLM. The only real thing he's conservative on is the COVID stuff. He's a Hollywood elitist. And he stands completely on the wrong side of a lot of issues. I am in Pennsylvania. I'm going to give that location up. But I will not be voting Dr. Oz in the primaries. No way. And if you are in Pennsylvania, the guy is a fraud. And that will conclude this episode. God bless and stay safe.